Oh, hello, Mixcast viewers. Oh, I have an echo. There we go. Brought it back. No more echo. Echo's gone. It's okay. Hello, Mixcast viewers. How are you? Hello, Legend. Hello, Green Arrow. Thank you for dropping sparks right off the bat. How's everyone tonight? Hello, British Chairs. Bad Frog, how are you?
I'm good.
That's good.
I didn't punch any walls or throw anything out the window today, so I'm good.
That's usually a good thing. That's usually a good thing.
Me and Photoshop had a discussion for about 6 hours, and it finally agreed to let me do something. So
I gotcha. Twister and Cheeto, thank you guys for your hosts right off the bat. Twister, right as Bad Frog was about to say something. Twister, 8-month resub. Thank you, man. Thank you. All right, what were you saying, Bad Frog?
My battle with Photoshop, which I think I'm getting there. After many days of trial and error, I'm starting to learn things.
Good.
Which is kind of scary because I don't learn well. I'm old.
Well, that's how easy Photoshop is. It'll teach you to learn pretty easy.
No, it's not easy. It's just I'm pushing things that I don't need to know out of my head.
It takes a lot of work. Just like a lot of things.
Like early childhood memories, I don't really need those anymore. So I'm pushing them out to make room for Photoshop.
Oh.
And I'm gonna be in my 90s, and all I'm gonna know is Photoshop. They're gonna, well, do you remember this? I remember how to make a circle.
Oh.
And people are gonna look at me like,
it's 8:20, David. That means Mixcast has started. Cool Snake Guy, thank you for the host. Green Arrow, thank you for the host. Watch more tutorials. That is a good way to do it. Watching a lot of tutorials for Photoshop is like one of the number one ways to learn Photoshop.
I go to sleep.
What's up, Cool Snake Guy? What's up, British Chairs? Hello, Halo Collector. Hello, David. Welcome. Mixcast episode 35. We're in our mid-30s now. We're making it, guys. We're in our mid-30s. It's getting real up in here. What's up, Jade Fox? So we have an extra special episode today. Streamers' mental health and Bungie and Activision. I wonder if we should start with Bungie and Activision first, so that way we can get you your people in here.
That's probably a good idea.
All right. Let's talk about Bungie and Activision. Who doesn't know the Bungie and Activision news today? There a lot happened today. It's actually pretty interesting, and it's really funny because Bungie is our next door neighbor. Bungie is my next door neighbor at work. They're literally like practically across the street from us. So, it's pretty crazy. The news that happened. You don't know what happened today, Twister? Well, let me tell you a brief history of Bungie. Bungie made a video game called Halo. Halo, before it was born, was bought by a company called Microsoft. Bungie worked for Microsoft developing Halo for 10 years. That's how long their contract was. Then, at the end of their contract, they said, we don't want to be owned by a major company anymore. So they said, we're leaving. So they left, but they had to leave Halo behind. Because Microsoft owned all of the IP for Halo. So they said, okay, you can have Halo, and then they left. And then they made Destiny. Well, while making Destiny, they also announced that Activision was publishing Bungie. Which means they left a giant company just to go to another giant company. It doesn't make any sense at all. There has been lots of talk over the years that Activision is the reason that Destiny is terrible. I think, in my personal opinion, Bungie finally realized it, and they said, it's time to leave Activision. And Bungie left Activision today and brought Destiny with them. Yeah, pretty crazy. A game leaving a publisher is extremely rare. Extremely rare. That practically never happens. So what is going to happen? Basically, Bungie will make no money from Destiny. Basically, they sold all the rights. Like they won't make any money.
No, Activision won't.
No, Bungie won't. Think about it this way. The only way Activision makes money off of a game is if they sell the game, right? Why would Activision let Bungie leave with the only reason why they're making money from Bungie? If Activision wanted Bungie to stay, or if Activision didn't care if Bungie left, it was because they got to keep Destiny, which is the exact reason, or the exact thing that happened with Halo. Microsoft said, okay, bye Bungie, we're keeping Halo. Activision would have said the same thing.
But see, they didn't. Bungie took Destiny and left Activision.
Correct. Which means that there has to be something. There has to be something where Bungie is going to lose tons of money. Otherwise,
they're going to have to pay back some of that. They got $500 million for 4 game years, so they got 2 because they weren't part of Destiny 1, were they?
Activision was part of Destiny 1. Yeah,
oh, were they?
They've always owned. Yeah.
So they still own 2 games. So they, at that point, basically, they still own $250 million. So
yeah, my theory is that Activision will probably take about 90% of all Battle.net sales, meaning that Bungie will make nothing on PC sales of Destiny, and like they already sold all of their Xbox and PlayStation copies, so there's nothing on that. Any future DLCs that they've been working on are all owned by Activision because it was in their contract to make those games. Activision, on rumor, owned enough of Destiny to be able to take their publisher fees for the next 8 Destiny games. So I can't imagine that they got out like anywhere close with any money. So, oh, why can't I hear you? Did you mute?
Because I muted myself.
I mean, it's just insane. Like it was an article that I was reading before. It's like all of these DLCs that by Destiny games, I mean all the DLCs. There's like plus maybe the major titles too, who knows. All of these DLCs, basically they had a 4-game 10-year deal with each other. However, that 10-year deal is coming up on a limit already.
Thank you.
Destiny 1 was released in 2004. So there's about 5 years left on it. So I just can't even imagine. I can't even imagine how much money Bungie will not be making on Destiny in the next 2 games. It's unbelievable. I can't even think of it. It's crazy. It's a crazy thing to think about.
And now Bungie, and kind of the word on the street, I guess, because it looks like from this article, is everybody's now blaming Activision for the microtransactions in Destiny 2.
Oh, 100. I blame them first day. I blame them first day.
Well, I agree with that. I'm just saying Activision is going to take a beating over this too. In publicity.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Bungie during their Halo days was never about how much money could be made from a single game. It was always about how many copies we can sell, which sounds similar, but it's not. It's not in any way at all. Number of copies that you can sell is how popular is your game. How much money can you make is how much money can you make in a single game. When a user passes that $60 mark, you are way, way into the gold. Bungie sells their game for $60, but if you want to play the whole game, you have to spend closer to $200, and then on top of that, they have microtransactions inside of the game for every single user. It is one of the worst business models I've ever seen for a video game. One of the worst. And it's amazing how popular the game is. It really is. I can't believe it after all this time.
Well, it was in a horrible state when
before this last DLC.
Before this last DLC. This last DLC brought a lot of players back, but some of them that refuse to come back because they're not going to pay anymore. They're so tired of paying for everything that they're just never coming back. So they've killed their...
Actually, it was even worse than that, David. It wasn't for the cosmetic. Well, it was for the cosmetic stuff, but it was loot boxes for the cosmetic stuff. So you weren't even guaranteed what you were buying. So it was the worst possible way to make money off of a microtransaction. So they just kept doing was just digging their holes, just digging it further and further. And who knows, maybe that could, I can almost guarantee you that was all Activision, all of it. So I want to see Bungie finally leave a company and say, we are going to be our own publisher. Hopefully they say that, because they said that once before and then went to Activision. Hopefully they say it this time and realize that they don't need to go to a giant company to do it. So, we'll see. What's up, Kepi?
Well, here in this, they're saying that the game Destiny 2 was actually released about a year and a half. What was it? Oh, I can't find it. It was released way early under pressure from Activision, and Activision kind of went with the microtransactions to get built in, and then they forced it out the door.
I'm sure they did. I don't know if it was a year and a half early, but
no, it wasn't a year and a half. It was a year and a half after the release of.
Do you guys know any companies that self-publish? You guys know more about gaming and companies than I do. Giant titles, even giant titles end up getting purchased from big publishers.
Trying
to
they
think.
have the infrastructure for it, basically.
I think even I'm pretty sure Titanfall started as a self-publish and then ended up going to EA. Let me see. Self-published games. I just need a reminder off of the top of my head.
I can't think there's a whole lot, because the publishers already have the infrastructure and the way to get the word out that the game guys don't necessarily have, because it's a department they don't need except when a game releases, where publishers have it all the time.
Mostly indie games end up getting self-published. However, it's more beneficial for it's funny because the games that are going to be more popular being self-published are the ones that they just go to publishers anyway. If Halo wasn't owned by Microsoft and Halo 6 was able to go self-published, they'd make so much more money. If Call of Duty could self-publish, they'd make so much more money. All of these giant titles, and it's it's contradictory me saying that, because if you have these giant titles, they wouldn't be where they are without their publishers. Their publishers that's their job. To get the game out there. That's literally their job. So it's practically impossible for a game to be as big as it is without the publisher. So it's very tough. It's very tough to go that route. Indie games will do self-publishing, and you'll run into the stars like Flappy Bird, right? Flappy Bird on mobile made tons of money. That was self-published. It was a single guy. And then I'm pretty sure he got bought over. Actually, Mojang, the people who made Minecraft, I'm pretty sure are self-published. And then Microsoft bought them for like $6.5 billion. So it's like, actually, I think it was more than that.
And they're still making money off of Minecraft.
Mojang Microsoft deal. Oh, it was actually less than I thought. It was $2.5 billion, but I'm pretty sure they got stocks out of it too.
Well, if you look at it with between self-publishing and a publisher, I'm going to use small numbers that are completely inaccurate. If it costs you $500,000 to have a game sent to a publisher and they do all that work, that probably saved you $500,000 from having to pay a staff that was going to handle that when the game release had, because it may cost you $100,000 or $1 million to keep those guys around for a year or two just to do the stuff for the game.
Yeah.
So that's how you save the money, and it's actually beneficial to use a publisher.
It's a beneficial route, plus the publisher will generally have a name, and if the publisher has a name, they're able to get the game out further. That's the benefit behind TinyBuild. So for those who don't know how TinyBuild started, TinyBuild was originally a game called No Time to Explain. They self-published it, and it made some money. Then they were struggling to keep bringing in the money, and then they ended up doing a game called Speedrunners. Speedrunners went viral. It was massive. There was a bunch of companies that say this was the competitive Mario that should have ever been made. And Speedrunners made a bunch of money. It made like $3 million in like 2 years, something like that. And after that, the creators of TinyBuild said, let's make it easier for indie titles to get noticed, because we now have the popularity of speedrunners and the money from speedrunners to get more games out there. So that's what they did, and that's how publishers start. Essentially, it's usually a self-published title that says we can make more, we can get more games out there, we know how to do it. So that's usually how it starts.
Well, fortunately for TinyBuild, they've hit a couple of what I would call home runs for indies.
Oh yeah, 100%.
And the fact it shows they're choosing good games to kind of get with, but they've hit a couple of home runs. It's been great for them. They're getting a name now.
Our big ones started off with Speedrunners in 2014, and then we had Hello Neighbor. Actually, it's funny when we have company meetups. We have company meetups every half a year, and our company meetups actually start with conversations of pre-Hello Neighbor TinyBuild and post-Hello Neighbor TinyBuild. We actually timeline the company based off of that because of how successful Hello Neighbor was. And yeah, so I mean, we had Speedrunners, Hello Neighbor. Now we have Graveyard Keeper, which Graveyard Keeper has crazy amounts of players. And
played on Mixer a lot, so
yeah. And Cluster Truck did really well, and there's a whole bunch of games that are just on their way. Holy users, lots of people in here waving to each other.
Well, that's because they're in a good market. We're in that $20 game range, which is, I'll throw a 20 out there to try something. So I think they're in a good market there, and they're still making money at lower prices. So
yeah, no, I got you. It's so our games are usually $30 or under, and it's interesting to see which ones end up being popular. Like there's some games that were like we thought were gonna do well and they just don't, and there's some games where like just throw it out there, see what people think, and people love it and it goes crazy. I don't know if you guys saw today, but this will be the last part about Tiny Build that we're chatting about. But today actually it was funny because I was like prepping a whole bunch of stuff to talk about this for the next week, and then my the CEO of Tiny Build decided to just go out and do it himself. So I was prepping a whole bunch of tweets to post over the next week, and then he goes and announces the game without even talking to me. It frustrated me beyond belief. But yeah, we announced a new game on Twitter today. We haven't talked about the name of it, but it's a physics-based game, and it's super silly. It's a multiplayer physics-based game. We've been testing it a ton in the office. The idea of the game is to deliver packages, and that's it. And it's unbelievably silly. Unbelievably silly. We've been like crying in tears of how funny this game is. So,
and it's multiplayer?
It's local multiplayer as of right now. Yep.
Oh, so it's not online multiplayer.
We haven't announced anything like that. So
what you're saying is you're not going to tell me one way or the other.
I am not telling you anything. This is what you get to see. This video that you get to see right there. I will say that it's 4-player multiplayer. So but yeah.
Well, how come when I post a link it goes away and Valley Girl posts one it stays there? Why is that?
I don't know. Depends on the link. Actually, a link shouldn't disappear.
The last two I put in here, maybe it wasn't here. I think it was here.
I don't think
it just disappeared.
I'm pretty sure links don't get deleted in here. Pretty sure they don't.
Then I didn't need to bother MD.
Probably not. I got you, MD. Thank you. Yeah, no, the game is fantastic amounts of fun. Streamers are gonna have way too much fun with this game. We have a lot to show you at PAX South. So, my link is special.
That does look kind of cool. I mean, I like watching those kind of silly games, like Guts and Glory. It's just hilarious to watch.
That one's a physics-based game as well. This one plays, if you've ever played either Gang Beasts or Human Fall Flat, it plays just like those with a very direct objective. So, it's crazy. It's crazy. Also, I realized the joy of Twitter today. I went onto the Tiny Build account and I was just like, I'm just gonna go post something on Twitter. So I tweeted hello, and then within 30 seconds I had 60 comments and 85 likes. I posted hello. By the end of today, 11 hours later, I have 157 comments, 17 retweets, and 329 likes. I was like, wow.
Okay, the retweets are a little, that's kind of out there, but.
Yeah, no, it was crazy. And that was the majority of the comments. Neighbor. Is that my hello tweet? Yep, that's my hello tweet.
Valley Girl is on it tonight.
Yeah. So yeah, a little bit of Bungie and Activision, the craziness of what just happened today. We'll see what the future. I mean, they're not going to tell us now that Bungie is a private company. You know, you can't invest in Bungie, so we'll never know their sales. So we'll never know if they're making money. We'll never know if that stuff. So the only way you'll know if Bungie is not making money is if they say, hey, Microsoft, do you want to publish our next game? Or, you know, go to EA or something, you know?
Yeah, well, I suspect if they do that again with Microsoft's going to have written in there, we get Destiny when you leave.
Basically.
I don't know. This may, if Activision was the biggest problem, this may improve.
Activision was the biggest. They should have never gone to Activision. Never. They could have made all of the same deals that they did prior. So
it may make the game a lot better when they release the next one or the coming DLCs that I'm sure they still have coming.
Because of this deal, of this break off of a deal, I will actually buy Destiny 3.
Really?
Yep, I will buy Destiny 3 because it's not by Activision. Activision is the reason why there's so many paywalls. Guaranteed. Guaranteed. So,
See,
what's up,
I have
Chef?
fond memories of Activision, but that was back in the cartridge Atari days.
Oh, yeah.
Because all the best games were on Activision then.
Activision is the devil now. Activision is EA. It's just, how many games can we put out there? How much money are we able to make off of a single game? That's all EA does. So
yeah, well, they've got all the sports things lined up, and they produce a new one every year.
EA is just famous for loot boxes, man. Loot boxes. I mean, look at Battlefront 2. Everything, man. It's just terrible. It's terrible. And Activision doesn't own Bungie, guys, but they're only direct partners in every single possible route. So that's why Overwatch is all over loot boxes and all this stuff. I'm scared for Classic WoW because if they don't make Classic WoW actually Classic WoW without loot boxes or pay anything or whatever, just take WoW, the brown disc, put it in a machine and say, release it again. And that's all I want. That's all I want. That's why I think Anthem is going to suck. EA owns Anthem, so we'll see. We'll see.
Now, see, I'd always thought with the ability now that they've got with keyboard and mouse, that might make a better chance to get WoW on console. But
I actually have a strong feeling WoW will be on Xbox. I have a strong feeling.
So it's got a customer base that just stays there. I mean, how long has WoW been out there?
WoW started in 2000. Warcraft 2004.
It's been kind of popular for
popular. Years. They had 17 million subscribers.
I'm just saying that everybody complains about how long is Fortnite going to last. You better hope it didn't last like WoW does. Because we're going to be seeing Fortnite for the next 15 years.
Yeah. No, you're still going to see it. I can't find... Where is Live Host, Chef? I can't find it. But yeah. That's the craziness for Activision. David says a customer base that just stays there. He says, yes, in their mom's basement. You'd be surprised. You'd be surprised. I know that's the joke, but...
Well, you do have the one guy that kills everybody in the game that just sits there and eats. Oh, that was South Park. Never mind.
Yeah, that was the South Park episode.
That's South Park.
I wonder if... I don't see it. Just allow my channel to be hosted. I know. Where do you see that? Wait, did they take out live hosting? Is it gone now?
Let's see. What did Twisted says?
It's not
I play
gone?
WoW sometimes, and I own my own house. I don't play WoW, and I don't.
You don't want to play WoW now. You don't want to play WoW.
So I'm seeing there's a connection here. Maybe if I played WoW, I would have a house. Just saying.
That I mean, maybe. I'll see if I'm able to live host someone else. Can I? Let's see. I'll pick a random partner. Actually, picking a random partner is probably not going to work well because I don't know if it will work. But in any case,
Jeff says tries his.
Oops. I just full screened it instead of... I can press live host, so there is an option somewhere to live host. So, I don't know. Try yours. You're live? All right, I will. Let's actually, so I'm going to test that while Bad Frog starts his next topic. This topic, Bad Frog has been working on for a few weeks now.
And then some.
And then some, apparently. Yeah, so I don't know if you guys have stuff to say. Hopefully this live host doesn't do anything. Hosting you allows to support other broadcasters by featuring a streamer's broadcast on your channel. Are you sure you want to host?
When Big first hosted you and you played the VR thing, I played along using my arms. Not the same, but much fun. Wow, now I've got echo.
Whoa! I don't know what's happening.
I'm on Chef's channel.
I don't know what just happened.
There's a massive echo.
Yeah, we're gonna fix this.
Yeah, now you're hosting Chef.
Yeah, now I need to figure out how to undo this.
We're just in a little tiny box in the corner. Chef set this up, didn't he?
He did.
I see how it is, Chef.
We're testing live hosting because
yeah, I see you.
Swap channel position. Oh, he's laughing a bunch.
Oh, yeah. He's found this quite amusing.
I think I switched it around now. How do I get rid of him? Toggle whether this show is not pinned. Yeah, you see what you did? How do I mute?
How do we get our show back?
I'm trying to figure that out. How do you unhost? Man, this is what happens when you try to get something to work. Toggle
in
whether
the middle of your stream.
Just show this channel's integration. No, I don't want to show that. Swap channel position. I just want to close it out. That's all I want. He went offline.
Yep, but we can't get away from his screen now. Well, while we're a little tidying up and having a little dinner.
Gonna figure this out. I think we're good. Are we good? Solved?
No.
Problem solved? Echo's gone?
Echo's gone.
And just refresh real quick, guys. Just refresh. I still see you here. Well, you're supposed to see me here.
There we go.
If you refresh, it's fine. All right, everyone refresh. Refresh. Just refresh. Everyone refresh.
Somebody slapped Chef with a wet noodle.
Wonder why that worked for me, but not you. I don't even. All right. Well, there was a whole lot of we're probably going to have to test that at another time to figure out why there was echo and everything, because I don't even know why that was happening. All right. Normal as normal as both of you could be. All right.
Well, that's true.
Let's talk about Bad Frog's section. Streamer's mental health. This is streamer and gamer's mental health. It was just too long of a title. But thanks for the special appearance. Streamer and gamer mental health. This is a topic that Bad Frog has been working on for a few weeks now, or more, and really wanted to talk about it. It actually has like a special place in his heart for him. So being as interactive as you can during this section is actually really appreciated, and it might help you or your friends out more than you know. So yeah.
And
take it away, Bad Frog.
Now that we've got here, and I don't have to use MD for this, that's the Google link to it. Anybody can go look at it if they want. It's 4 pages long, so I'm not going to be going through the whole thing, obviously. But if you're interested, you can go look at it, make a copy of it, and down whatever you want with it. It's open.
What's up, Rachel? What's up, Happy?
The first paragraph, I'm going to kind of use a lot. I'm going to read a lot of it.
Sweet.
It says, I will speak in generalities, as I'm not, nor do I claim to be any way associated with the mental health industry. I just want to make this clear. I appreciate that, Valley. This was unscientific. It was all volunteers. I've
Okay, you want to
Just
talk about how
basically,
you developed all this?
basically, I sent a questionnaire out to. I put out a Twitter that said anybody that would be willing to join in a mental health survey I had, and basically anybody that responded, I gave them what an idea it was, and I gave them a link to the questions. And if they responded, they responded. If they didn't, they didn't. Um, so I had a number of people that responded, and I had some that actually answered and sent me back information. It's all anonymous. Nobody's going to know who these people are. Um, I've pretty much. I'm gonna, after tonight. I'm going to destroy all the records I have from those people and all the stuff off my hard drive. So it's just going to stay anonymous. Um, the thing I found is it was a general trend among almost everybody, which I kind of expected, but it was more clear than I thought. So that's kind of where I went with this. But the first question I ask in this, it says, what ways do you think gaming itself may have helped you overcome difficulties in your life? The biggest answer was distraction. It gave people a way to distract from what was not a pleasant part of their life. You had from outright physical and mental abuse to just bullying at school. It went from those routes.
So let me put a little thing in there. Let's see. If anyone has anything that they want to interject in some of these questions, like Bad Frog's topic was, in what ways do you think gaming itself has helped you overcome difficulties in your life? If you want to talk and about your personal experience, please feel free. Obviously, some of this stuff is very, very personal, so you don't have to you know, chat about it.
And if you want to stay anonymous, you're more than welcome to whisper, either me or Big, and we'll. Oh, yeah, if you want something brought up without a name, that's not a problem.
We can talk about your stuff without saying your name. Just be careful with your whispers, you know.
Do not have a whisper fail like I do all the time.
Bad Frog, Jade Fox, you might want to just not whisper.
As Valley Girl just said, she participated in this, and she's already given me permission to ask her questions if I want to. I don't know if I will or not, but that's the only reason I'm breaking the confidentiality is because she gave me permission to. She was pretty upfront in a lot of her statements and how she went. I had a PTSD guy that basically took his rage out in his games as an alleviation from what had happened to him. So he used the gaming as a therapy for him.
So for my personal experience on that, in what ways do you think gaming has helped you overcome difficulties in your life? When I was a kid, in elementary, middle, and high school, so throughout grade school, I was bullied a lot. And I never talked to anyone, like ever. I never talked to anyone about those problems, and I always looked for ways out of it. Some of them were through self-harm, which, you know, it's a way out, but it's not the way out. So, like, not that I'm, like, telling people to do that. Don't do it. There are better ways. And some of that, you know, led into connecting with other people over the internet, especially when Xbox Live first came out. Xbox Live first came out when I was 11, I think. And I was able to meet great people online. Some of you might have been here the other day when we talked with Basketball Girl, who I referred to as Sarah on the stream. She was a big help in all that. She's much younger than I am, but she was a big help in helping me out of a lot of my personal life struggles that I was going through, because I had no friends in school. I can literally name every friend that I had in school, like off the top of my head. I can name every single one, and that's not saying, "Wow, Big, you have a really great memory and you can name all your friends." There wasn't a lot. That's my point. And gaming helped with that. I have more friends online. Not today. I mean, definitely today, but not today. But when I was going through school, I had more friends online than I did uh, in person. So, um, my two big things were gaming, and I took Taekwondo for 10 years. So I got my second degree black belt in Taekwondo, and that was a huge mental stress. It allowed me to learn self harmony, and it allowed me to put my focus on a lot of other things. So, um, and gaming did the same. It allowed me to take my rage out in playing shooter games and using my brain for puzzle games like Portal, and uh, yeah, and just being able to have people to talk to after school, because I never got to talk to anyone during school. My friends were actually my teachers. A lot of the time, my closest people who I could talk to were my teachers. So, it's it's quite the interesting thing. So,
Yeah. I've got a whisper that goes along with the um what I was talking about, the rage issue. So you might have a bad day and want to kill people. I'm not saying that's a good idea. Then you get to go home, play GTA, and you can just let it all out. That's part of what I saw in a lot of this. Was it was a release of emotion to play the games they did, to actually get out the frustration of what's going on in their daily life and not have to think about it was a lot of the big deal. Um, I have a history. Valley knows some of it. Big knows some of it, but I didn't have the best of childhood growing up, and we moved a lot because my dad was in the Air Force. So, like Big, I didn't have any friends. It's just, when you're moving school to school every 2 years, you don't make friends easily. And at some point, you give up trying and you don't want to anymore. You just want to be left alone. But I got bullied a lot until the time came when I reversed that, and I ended up being the bully because I ran with the wrong crowd. But it gives you that the fear that you're going to turn out like that, or that you're going to always be so meek to take it like that. So it's just a bad situation.
yeah.
I'll let you have that one.
So I'll
Big.
start with the first one. Dr. Oppenheim said, gaming has more or less helped me become more social and outgoing, helped build self-esteem. I stream myself as well to overcome anxiety and actually get my self-esteem back. Was bullied growing up, father who has Alzheimer's and a mother who liked alcohol too much. So basically, gaming helped me build up to be the person that I am today. And a lot of that is true. A lot of it is an outlet for people to get away from things. Like for a lot of people, it's to actually be more social. For some people, it's to get away from it. And a lot of that is like when people have parents who drink too much and the parent is like, way too close to you when they are not in the right state of mind. Some of it is to get away from them. And I know several people who had issues such as that, lock themselves in their room and play video games with their headset on so they didn't have to hear what was going on outside. There's a lot of struggles like that. You want me to get Gauss too?
I'm going to after I'm almost finished with here, and you can get Gauss. The last sentence I had in this question of my interpretation of the survey that came out, I said, for the most, the answers were what I expected, and they were, but not the raw emotion hidden behind the words of hurt and loss. There was some of these stories that had me in tears. I will freely admit it. I can't imagine going. I had not a good childhood, but not in comparison to some of these people. There should, in a first world country, there should never anybody go through what some of these people with. And to come out the other side is just flat out amazing to me. But that was kind of where I was at in the first question. So
Yeah. Gao said, I can speak about this growing up in a rough time with my with no money and my mom leaving at 5 years old, being beat all my life by my father and being bullied by everyone and not having anyone to be here for me. Video games are the only thing that helped me a bit when I have a lot of mental and physical problems. And I think Gao knows like a ton compared to most that he has so much of a family here on Mixer. And I know Gao takes his breaks from the stream, and I guarantee you most of the time he comes back because he knows that, rather than coming back to watch video games. So yeah, there's a lot of that outlet for playing video games. Yeah. Kangas said,
go ahead.
Going up the Sims was my favorite game. I didn't have the best childhood or friends really, and Sims was, I guess, a way to have that happy and normal family. Sadly, it's kind of weird to think that might have been a little bit of why they made the Sims, to be able to create that simulation family, create that simulation world the way you wanted it to be. It's kind of interesting to think along that line, because the Sims, I mean, if you didn't know, stands for simulations. Creating that simulation world, there's a market for that type of video game, but in reality, what is the purpose for creating that simulation world? It's it's kind of like what we talked about last night. It's for the nature of human to experience something that they want to experience. They might not be able to experience that thing, so they create a simulation based off of that. So it's an interesting thing there, Kangas. Thank you for sharing.
Yep, I appreciate everybody that is sharing. It's a big deal. I guess I should also point out that at my age, I didn't have gaming to get into. It's going to sound stupid, but I spent a lot of my time when I was younger in my room with Legos. And I made endless things with Legos. Yep, and rocks and sticks when I was even younger. But I could sit in my room and turn up the stereo and just do that all day long, or I read books. When the Atari came around, that's when I got to start hiding in games, basically. And then at the beginning of the internet was these places called BBSs, where you called them directly, and somebody had a server at their house, and they had little stuff you could do on there. But I hid in that type of stuff too. So in a way, I didn't have this to have the way to get away from it. But anyway, holy cow. Looks like you need to catch up again.
Yeah. So I got to try to catch up real quick. Lumi says he was called dumb all of his life and was bullied in school. And I mean, I don't know what you used for your way to distract you from some of that stuff, but I know that you're big into gaming now, and I bet you realize the amount of benefit that comes out of communities such as what we have here on Mixer, and the benefit of playing video games just as the distraction alone. And of course, you know that you are not that, Bloomy. And who knows, maybe you didn't know that when you were younger, but I hope that people had helped to realize that. So, let's see. Dr. Oppenheim said when WoW came out, that was the actual place of escape to, or he escaped to. I got a lot of online friends and was actually had the guts to speak English with them since I'm Norwegian. I'm fully aware that what happened around me, and out of that I fell under depression and anxiety. But yeah, I haven't been in an online community. I have no idea what would happen. Even now, after my father died 2 years ago, I went down to square one with anxiety and depression. So now is more or less a build up for me once again. And that stuff hits hard. That stuff's
It's
hard
when you have your own kids.
With your own kids around. Yeah. I used WoW for the same thing, man. I got, addicted to WoW on its own, but yeah, it's definitely a way to distract yourself. Definitely a way to distract yourself. So yeah. Oh man.
Sorry, I'm looking for my keyboard because something just bad
I see you
happened.
typing a bunch on there. There's a lot of comments. Let's see.
Now lost my title.
A lot of the comments are actually other community members saying how much they relate and help and understand the same pain that they went through.
And this is what made me want to do this in the first place, because just by observation, I think, and I'm pretty well validated on that, especially with it. I think there is a higher percentage of people that were discarded, abused, left behind, treated like garbage in the gaming community than there is in regular society, because it pushed them to a place where they had to have some release, and games are a release, and I think it's a healthy release, because you can get your frustration, rage, pain, loss, anything you can get out in a game, and it may not be real or perfect, but it's helpful. So that's why I started this deal, because I saw that trend, and the answers answered that trend, and the stuff I'm seeing tonight is kind of answering that trend. I know it's not everybody in the gaming community, but I'm just saying there's a higher percentage in the gaming community than in normal society.
Yeah.
And that's also, I'll get to it with other questions, but anyway, go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna continue reading.
I know you're gonna read some stuff.
Is that what you want me to do?
Yeah, you read the stuff, and I got my my stuff.
Extreme says, growing up, I was bullied, beaten up all the time at school, then getting beaten badly by a drug addict father who would throw me across the room, even had a knife thrown at me by him. Didn't really have friends. It got so bad that he tried for self-harm as well. So he started playing games to help. Him. Yeah, a lot of people suffer through and that was part of the thing where I was saying, the whole lock your door, put on the headset so you don't have to listen to the outside world type of thing. A lot of that is a distraction. Miss JG says that she did that, but with music. And a very similar concept. The only difference between music and gaming is the gaming is a lot more interactive. There's a lot more of you putting in something more than you just taking a lot of things in. Yeah. So there's a lot of people who share that same feeling, Extreme. So I hope that things have shown you like hopefully playing games allowed you to be a little bit more at peace while these issues were going on. So let's see.
Let me go. I'll go with my second question here then. Holy cow.
Yeah, we got a lot. A lot of these are responses. I won't be reading the responses out loud just because if I read all the responses out loud too, I'll never get through the chat. But I highly encourage you guys to read the responses that people are saying to each other.
Just a reminder, there's a link to the actual thing that I wrote, which I actually showed to my psychiatrist today, and she kept a copy of it. So if you want to read the whole thing, I posted a link. If you want the link again, MDs may still have it, and I've got it. But I got a whisper I need to read, and then I'll go back to it. The whisper says, "Man, the biggest issue I have through work when I have to deal with death almost daily, and overall the stress of my job, gaming is the only thing that keeps me away from alcohol abuse and other mental boarding PTS issues, allow me to be functional and a decent, always try as hard to be possible, a better husband." Even as an adult, I think there's the same release for games. Games are not for kids, always. I suspect more adults than kids play games, and I think some of it may be because you want that release from the whatever's going on in your life. Maybe just your job because you hate it, anything, but you want that. You want to get away from real world things going on, and I think that's what gaming does.
Yeah.
The second question I asked in this thing was, this was all streamers. Do you think streaming has helped? And if so, how? I got a kind of the same pattern I did with the first game. And something that was talked about earlier, it gave people a sense of confidence in themselves as they accomplished things in the game, and the sense of pride that went with that. The streaming community itself seems to give people a sense of family and community that they didn't have. And the streamers themselves are more, God, I don't know the word I'm looking for, more tolerant and seem more welcoming to those that weren't normal, as you want to say. But it has to do with the communities, and a few of them actually said that it was easier dealing with people, or easier dealing with the streaming and a massive community than it was dealing with people in real life, which I can say myself. I can't go outside the door some days, and I don't like people really at all. I just don't. But this has given me a door into being able to function with people without having my anxiety go through the wall. So I can understand this. And let's see. And this is, I know whose response this was because I just remembered. One even stated that it was one reason for putting forth a more positive attitude in their life. And that's Valley, since she's given me permission to do so. She was struggling before the end of the year with her stream, with their attitude, trying to make things work, all stressed out. And she had school stuff coming up, and she quit streaming and did the school thing. And then after the school thing was over, she came back with a whole new attitude. She was more positive, more outgoing, didn't seem to care so much, wasn't as far as having the numbers and worrying about being a partner, and just sunny and bright, unlike what she had been before when she was fighting with just the stress of everything. So that was kind of an interesting thing, that she got a more positive attitude from streaming. In the last two sentences, and I'll be done with this one. I wasn't surprised by the answers as much as different ways most came to the same point. Purpose, challenge, safe, positive, and were the words that most stuck out me with this question. I wasn't surprised, but I was surprised at how deeply, for some people, that streaming is a part of their life, and it actually gives them purpose and function, unlike any other thing. So it was, like I said, it was expected, but it was far more revealing than I expected. So, yeah, as Valley Girl, that was what she worried about: numbers and trolls. And now she doesn't worry about it. She's got mods to take care of it. So,
Yeah.
And we tried to tell her that, but she was too wound up. But she's got it now.
There's a lot of that is convincing streamers that they don't need to worry about the numbers, and everyone, even though they say that they don't look at the numbers, they do.
It's a lie.
They all look at the numbers, but the fact of the matter is you have to remember to not care about the numbers. You have to, if you physically cannot not look at the numbers, but you watch them and say to yourself, today was a better day than yesterday, or today was not as good as yesterday, let's do something better, and you're not beating yourself up on it, then looking at the numbers isn't so bad. But the fact of the matter is a lot of people can't do that. They look at the numbers and say, I sucked today. And you can't do that. You can't beat yourself down about it. It's about growing and knowing that some days are just not going to be as good as others. And we say that with each other on Mixcast too. After some days, it's like, you know what? We didn't pass the 30 mark today. Today wasn't as great, but, you know,
I keep telling Big that I need to put a piece of tape on my screen right there.
Yeah.
Because I always tell people that want to go into streaming and stuff, don't look at the numbers. That's the worst thing you can do. What's the first thing I do as soon as I start doing this with Big? I'm watching the numbers.
It's very easy to say.
And I've looked at them 10 times in the whole time I've been talking about it, and I can't stop myself from doing it.
It's very easy to say it, but the fact of the matter is everyone's going to look at the numbers anyway, even when they say that they're not. They're going to look at the numbers anyway, but you have to remember to tell yourself it's not a competition for the numbers. It's determining you know, what didn't do as well today. Can it be fixed, or was today just an off day? Things along that line are very hard to adjust. So,
and if you guys read what Dr. Oppenheim has put in here, that was a similar answer I've got throughout my questionnaire, is the stuff he's putting in chat right now. I just went back and read it to myself, but that's pretty close to a lot of the stuff I found. It wasn't always, all of it wasn't that way. You had some people that basically bullied and didn't go through any mental or physical abuse, but they still felt that left out of society from that bullying, and how the gaming and streaming has given them confidence. So, but anyway, that's a pretty good study on what I read through, is the stuff he's posting in there.
A lot of I suffered through a lot of this after I came back from Florida for my sister's wedding. At this time last year, like this week last year, in a week's worth of time, I would have gained 10,000 followers. And when I got back from vacation, for the first week, I gained like 600, and I was devastated. I said that I should have never gone to Florida to the wedding or anything like that. And in the end, I just had to realize that it wasn't anything that I changed. It was just, you know, Mixer had changed. It wasn't the boost that it was before. I mean, I took a big hit from it, but it was just something that I had to learn, that, you know, it wasn't anything that I was doing. It was just something that was just going on the platform. So, but yeah. So let's see. Valley Girl said, honestly, start off with positive thoughts before the stream and attainable goals. Nothing like 20 viewers, but goals like holding a great conversation with a viewer. Reached a higher level of views than regular, and chat kept bringing it up. As I...
Yeah, she yawned? I don't think she yawned. Babe.
As I had to remind chat that it's not about the views, it's about when who wants to stay and build the community. Yeah, it very much is that. A lot of my stream has become, how much can I build the community? And, you know...
well, that's why you have the community you do, because you're looking at it as community and not numbers.
Right.
Which is... I think is the only way you can become successful.
It's a different kind of success.
Not maybe financially,
yeah,
but mentally and financially a little bit. But I mean, you just gotta you
It's a
got to
different
do
kind
it
of
that way.
success.
Yeah.
A lot of a little bit of a mental struggle that I've run into recently was hitting the 100,000 follower mark. That was a serious goal of mine, and I didn't obtain it. And I still want to obtain it. I want to obtain it by May for my birthday. And I don't know if it's going to be possible. I really have no idea. But it's a lot of I may not have 100,000, but I have a community that's better than many of the people who are above it, in my personal opinion, and from what it seems like, a lot of the community will agree to. However, in the end, a goal is still something that you want to obtain, whether you met it or not, and it's still something that I'm trying to reach for. That 100,000 will be here, and it's something that I'm gonna push towards. It's just, that mental battle that I'm going to be going through while trying to get there. So,
as the smaller streamers that I've been helping out, and they will ask me, well, what do I need to do? What do I need to do? Well, I don't know. It depends on your community. I've got one now that's got a decent numbers, but can't keep chat moving, and they just got a bunch of lurkers, and they want the chat to move, so because it keeps the boredom from the streamer to have chat moving. They got something to comment on or read on.
That's
if they're
a tough
just playing the game the whole time, it gets boring, especially say
it's very difficult to overcome that gap. That gap is one of the hardest to overcome, actually, especially when you have low numbers and you're trying to overcome that gap. It's one of the hardest things to do, and honestly, that one is just trial and error. What can you do to encourage more chatting? What can you do to encourage more chatting and keep the numbers up?
And that's what we're doing right now. We're doing everything we can to try and encourage it. We don't know what's going to work, but the one thing I tell a lot of these guys and gals is, and I'm not sucking up or blowing smoke up your ass here, is go watch a full stream of Biggs. You will see the way the chat interacts with itself that leaves Big completely out of it half the time. He catches the middle of the conversation and has no idea what's going on.
Yeah. I try to jump in, and I try not to jump in to be in the middle of the conversation, but to actually understand what they're talking about, because I like knowing what you guys are talking about. It brings enjoyment to know that you guys are having full length conversation in my chat while I'm here talking on the screen. I enjoy that. All of you guys saying hi to each other earlier today, that's just pure joy. You guys come here to say hello. That's super cool. You could say hello on Discord. Why do you have to say it in a Mixer chat? That's super cool to me. Simple facts like that is really, really cool. Some of you are even friends on Facebook and are talking to each other during the day, and yet you come into the Mixer chat and you talk and say hi as if you hadn't seen each other all day. But I want to.
And another thing about your community, and I'm going to use Valley Girl again, because not only have I been modding for a while, and knowing some of her situation, the fact that your community accepted her almost instantly was huge for her.
Oh yeah.
Because it brought her in automatically, no questions asked. Come here, join our community if you want to. And you don't have that in a lot of communities, where new people are pushed to the side and you have a bunch of inside jokes that new people don't understand and nobody wants to explain. But we have our inside jokes here, but we don't push them into new people's faces and say, look, you're not part of this group. Which is a lot different than a lot of other communities. And we've kind of gone off the rails here a little bit, but I just wanted to throw that in there, that's a massive help to people who have some difficulties having that sense of community and almost instantly, and you have friends in that community that are willing to listen and talk to you. And it's just a difference from the outside world. I think it's one because you're not seeing each other physically, and it's easier to talk to a stranger. But part of it's what you've built here with that kind of positive attitude and things that you've done here. So it fits in with what I did, but I just wanted to kind of go through that a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Punk Snap, thank you for the follow, by the way. I want to read David's before it gets way too gone. David said junior high started and I lost all of my friends, close friends, for a short time in the mid-20s, then dropped off because of marriages, etc. Now I finally have in-person friends again. I've been hanging out with on and off the last few weeks, common interests, create friends, always more online long-distance gaming friends. Then we have this community, and as adults, we all meet our online friends at places like PAX. To me, I'm online, not a person. And it's actually funny that you bring that up, David, because I've been thinking to myself, and some of the community has said that they've missed you in chat because you used to be like extremely active in the chat. And not that, you know, we're bugging you on, oh, where's David? You know, where's David? I'm glad to hear that you have in real
whisper fail.
In real life friends that that you're able to hang out with, and you still manage to join us here in the evenings and hang out with us, because you know, you're not giving up on your online friends. You know, it's really, really kind. So yeah, and like you said, meeting in real life your online friends is really cool. I've met David several times, and actually we have plans to go get lunch again sometime soon. And it's fantastic knowing that a platform like Mixer allowed something like that to happen.
I've got one from Dr. Oppenheim I want to read.
Yep. And
then let you comment on. Kind of annoys me I haven't found this podcast earlier. I've been looking for such a chill stream, actually discussion vital values. Also with people in here, I feel like I can actually be open about it. We kind of have serious topics and then funny topics, and we're trying to do both at the same night. Tonight is a little different because I had this thing which we knew was going to take up a big chunk of time.
Yeah. Not every night is vital values like this. However, I'd say out of our 35 episodes, we've probably had 10 to 15 of them that have had vital topics such as this. Most of them will talk about key information and sharing that knowledge amongst one another, as well as, like, you know, what's your favorite dish and why? Where would you like to travel in the world? Things like that. And like stuff like that, you know, it gets you active, it gets you talking, and sometimes you share those personal things where you can talk about like why you wanted to travel this place because you had family members that you've never been able to meet or something, you know? And those vital values can come from things like that, or your favorite video game and why. Your favorite video game could be because of some of these reasons that we're talking about. So,
with those topics, we always jump off the rail every time we have those topics, and it leads somewhere else, and we try to bring it back eventually. But sometimes it leads to those kind of value issues, like somebody will say they want to go here for this reason, and it's something very important to them and kind of an indication of their identity. And you'll have somebody that has that same kind of thought process, and you'll start drifting off to talking about things that have some kind of meaning to you and not necessarily where you want to go. Yeah. But it's we're more free flowing here because we want you guys to be interactive with it. It makes the show easier on us and hopefully more enjoyable for you.
Yeah. And Sydney said, honestly, that's why I watched this a few times a week. The first Mixcast that I caught was the one where you were explaining different things to use for your stream. You guys were so helpful and awesome, and you didn't make me feel new. You didn't think my questions were stupid, and you helped as much as you could. I love watching your Mixcast. And I mean, and if you ever have any more questions, we're always happy to help, and that's what it's for. It's just a community that wants to help each other grow. I was actually on the phone with Chef earlier before the stream. I was talking to him on my car ride home, which is funny because he's a Mixer community member and streamer. Uh, and we are at the point in our friendship where we call each other on the phone. Like, it's not just, DMing on Discord or something. Like, we actually talk about stuff. Uh, and we're excited to do like whatever it is together, streaming or interacting with each other's streams, or meeting up at PAX, or he even flew up to Seattle to, we were talking about opening a business together up here. So a lot of that stuff is pretty cool on how close a community can be for these things.
Well, as you know, because of the kind of the reaction it is, I have the kind of the same thing with Stat Booster. We actually talk on the phone almost every day. Usually on his way home from work because he's bored and doesn't want to fall asleep. And we DM and text each other all day long too. But we've never seen each other in real life, and it's just different to have that kind of friendship where you can almost say anything you want to, and they kind of understand it. Yeah, that's true. When I'm not lecturing Valley, which I did for 2 months, but that's completely beside the point. But yeah, it's just different in the gaming community, I think, and especially in the streaming part of the gaming community, because I think this is even more tight knit. So that was my thoughts on that. But I don't know if you've got any more big things to pull out of chat or not.
We're just judged, and I'm thinking that's ostracized. I don't actually know that word. Common thread for the bullies and abusive folks. Getting beyond that is huge, not easy, but everyone is worthy and healthy connections and love. I am happy that I found this stream. You all are all amazing, and we're happy to have you here, British.
Absolutely, you are a massive.
Yeah, you've been a great addition to our community, and like that's what I try to do, is show how much we care towards our community members, and that's why I like doing events like the Biggies and even charity streams. Charity streams brings out the best in people. It really does. Even the ones that can't donate show so much support. I've had some youngins in my stream that can't physically donate, but they were like, "Big, where can I put these links so that way people can donate and watch the stream and make sure that I do my part, since I can't spend money." It's just crazy. It shows how much people care for stuff like that. So,
well, it's part of what you've developed here as a community too. It's just a different outlook.
Yeah.
And before I move on to my next question, I enjoy British because she keeps me on my toes, and I am looking forward to having some massive conversations with her again, because the discussion that we had between each other on DMs was very interesting and well stated. I enjoyed it thoroughly, so I like that stuff. Absolutely, I love having debates, and especially with open-minded people that will get what I'm going with. We don't agree, but we got each other. That's all that matters. My next question was the hardest one that I think I had. It said, would you feel comfortable sharing part of your story, either good or bad? If so, describe as much as you want. Almost all the stories were different. Like I said before, you had the history of bullying, mental abuse from a loved one, PTSD for the military, and as I said earlier, the most horrific way to grow up in a first world nation. They were all different stories, but they had the same amount of pain and anguish that was still there as they wrote it now, even if it happened some years ago. It was like it was fresh and raw at the time, which kind of made me feel bad reading these, that I might have drawn out of them. But it was one of those things. There's attempted suicides in the past. you had the ones that were degraded by their parents, and a boyfriend girlfriend relationship that was obviously one sided. Then I'll read this last part and I'll be done with this one. The hardest to read, but the most uplifting in a way, revolved around a history of abuse inside the home, to listening to endless fights with parents and grandparents, at a young age being faced with becoming an adult and parent to younger siblings. Reading this story showed me the inner strength of man is truly incredible when faced with raw determination. And that story, it got to me. I had to put it down and walk away. I just had to. It took me 3 sittings to actually get through it. It was rough to read. In the last statement, although there was no common theme, you could see the deep sense of pain and loss in most stories, and that was the kind of the common theme with that. But it was just all different kinds. So that was what happened with that question, and I got a lot more information from people than I expected to. I did not expect to get life stories from people. I was stunned.
Yeah, everyone is going to have their own stories. So finding the common behind them is definitely generally rough. The common is usually just, the sadness and the loneliness that comes out of stuff like that. So, yeah, everyone is going to have their own story. So that one's a hard one for even the chat to comment on.
Yeah, I know, and it was a hard part of the survey to actually. It was the hardest question I had to ask, and the one that was going to give me the best information.
Yeah,
and I was just stunned at the amount of information I got from that. It told me that these people wanted their story out there anonymously, but they wanted their story out there because maybe it could help somebody else.
Yeah.
So,
well, I think for this, we might actually have to push this to today and tomorrow. We'll do like the first 4 or 5 today and the next 4 or 5 tomorrow. So
yeah, because I've got
there's 9 questions, so we can do 4
yeah,
or 5 today.
I've been through half of it, so I've still got the other half.
Well, we just did question 3, right? Yeah.
Yeah,
so
I'm
still got 6.
Oh, yeah, we're just on 3.
Yeah.
Oops. The other ones get shorter, but
Dr. Oppenheim says, seeing how this community is, how laid back the hosts are, and as well as how open you are about whatever the struggle, issues bothering one another, I don't regret stopping by tonight. Finally, a grown-up community that I actually want to hang out with. And hopefully my time frames work out for you, Dr. Oppenheim. Just letting you know that this Mixcast is definitely different than my my regular stream. However, the community is still the same. All these community that you still see here today, they're not different than my regular stream. This podcast is just more of a serious-based podcast compared to my stream. My stream is a lot of gaming. We play Fortnite, we play Monopoly, we play Uno, we play Call of Duty, we play Halo, we play whatever. It doesn't matter what we play. We play together. I've built a very loving and trusting community here. It's just a very different vibe. So,
and like I said earlier, you'll find there's probably 3 to 5 different conversations that are going on chat that Big has no knowledge of.
And some knowledge of.
He has no knowledge of. But we all, and if you ask a question, you may get 5 people answering that question because they want to, there's people in here who want to be helpful. And we're missing the best part of that because she just has a schedule that doesn't allow it. But it's just different than any other community you'll find on Mixer. I'm just telling you.
I have a very unique community here. It's pretty crazy that they all exist in this one place. So that I know I'm sure there's plenty more out there that we could be obtaining. It's just a matter of finding them. So all right, so let's go on to your 4th one, Bad Frog. Let's try to get 4 or 5, and then we can do a part 2 tomorrow.
Okay. how do you think your life might be different if you didn't suffer from the past?
This one
Now,
was interesting to think about because I read it before you said anything. So
yeah, it actually caught me off guard. One of the responses felt they would have been actually worse off and maybe been a less nice person. Um, the first reading, I was stunned by that. I couldn't wrap my mind around it, but I got to thinking about it. And if I hadn't have been the person I was a long time ago and went through what I did, I may not be the person I am today as far as a decent person.
there's a lot of that. So that was actually a lot of what I was thinking about too. Did you want to put anything else in that before I jump in it?
You jump in it now and
then. So yeah. A lot of what you just said is the person that's formed today wouldn't exist without the pain that you've gone through in the past. However, it's funny to think about because if you didn't go through that pain in the past, what other pains would you have gone through? One of the biggest struggles that I went through was I was previously engaged, and that relationship ended poorly. It ended up with physical abuse from her part, which everyone says, oh, the guy always hits the girl type of thing, and it never exists that the girl hits the guy. And I suffer with that to this day. People think that I'm a liar. And I was literally hunted down by people saying that she was like telling people on Facebook that I was the one that physically harmed her. And like people like would actually out of nowhere send messages saying, how could you do this to her type of thing. So like it actually flipped around on me. And I was like, I couldn't even understand how that could have possibly happened. And it makes you truly understand what some of these females go through, that they get physically abused and no one believes them. I've gone through that exact thing that I've been physically abused and no one believed me. And it was really tough. It was really tough. And a lot of that is like, do I wish, or if I didn't go through that, who would I be today? And it's very interesting to think because that relationship was a long distance relationship. She lived in Canada. We were engaged. It was a very, very great moment in my life until it ended. And I still think about it, but it's interesting. It's weird to think if I didn't go through that, would things be different? I think things would be different because I might not have stayed in Florida, but I don't know where I would have gone, and I don't know where I'd be today if I didn't go through that. So I don't know. It's weird to think, how do you think your life would be different if you didn't suffer through things like that? I have no idea. I have no idea what would have happened. A lot of people would have say, oh, my life, your life would have been so much better because it didn't end with the physical abuse. I don't know. Because if I didn't date that girl, I don't know who I would have dated. I don't know of all the great times that we would have gone through that didn't happen, So it's crazy. It's crazy to think where I would be in that circumstance. So, and it's super odd circumstance because it's like the answer that Bad Frog, or that most people would think is, would your life be better or would it be worse type of thing. This one is like a simple, I don't know where my circumstance in life would be if that didn't happen. So it's pretty interesting. Pretty interesting.
And do I still have your permission, Valley?
I have to restore her because she talked to Kangas.
Oh, all right. This is I'm gonna relate back to a little bit of something else, but the next one is Valley Girl, and the reason I want to point that out is just because how much she's changed in just a couple of months. But another felt they wouldn't value themselves as much as they do now. And what she went through was basically a mentally abusive relationship with a guy that used her for sex to get what he wanted. And if he didn't get what he wanted, he was shitty to her, called her fat, pushed her away. Just the typical thing you see with some guys that are kind of controlling. And I'm sure women can be that way, but in this case, I'm talking about a guy. Went so far as to try and make up with her over a school project and then dumped her as soon as the school project was over. And what she got was from that is she doesn't think she would value herself as much as she does now by puts a greater value on herself so she doesn't fall into that situation again, is what I think she's trying to say there. She can tell me if I'm wrong or not, but that's what I got from her story on that. And I appreciate you letting me relay that because it ties it to a person and I can reveal my opinion and my thoughts on that. So anyway, Valley, I appreciate that. But that was the second one that surprised me.
Yeah. Kangas, even though it is more than likely too late now, that stuff, you know, you could literally be holding on to the safety of someone else. So that stuff, even though it's you know, it's a terror to you, you're holding on to a treasure to someone else because you never know who that could help. So yeah, even though you suffered yourself, you know, you save it. You never know who you could help. So let's see.
Dr. Oppenheim needs to spend some more time in this community. I don't know if you had anything else on the list or not. I'm not going backwards here. I'm kind of leaving chat to you.
I'm pretty much at Miss JG right now. So Miss JG said, I shall be telling this with a sigh somewhere ages and ages hence. 2 roads diverged in a wood, and I took the one less traveled by, and that has made all the difference. I don't know what that was a quote to. That you said
she answered that.
Robert
it's
Frost.
A quote. Yeah.
Gotcha.
That's a big quote.
Were you gonna read Dr. Oppenheim?
No, I'm trying to leave most of the chat reading to you.
Gotcha. Dr. Oppenheim says, I was engaged to my ex as well. I don't know how to describe it, but she was some sort of abusive with yelling all the time around me and my daughter. At times, she would actually hit me she would hit me if I as much talked with a woman. She was sort of a control freak. I told myself, be there for the kid over and over. And a lot of that struggles through that. I can't even imagine how many marriages in the world exist simply to keep the children at bay. You know, it's kind of crazy to think about. It's a very dark thought.
As soon as the last kid's out of the nest, divorce.
Yeah.
So you know they stayed together all them years to keep the kids in a stable environment.
Yeah.
But at least they were bright enough to do that, and not like some people who just don't have any care for their kids. They want what they want.
Yeah.
So, we already discussed this, that people would have loved to have had a different past, but it also made them what they were. And for the most part, they all liked who they were. So it's hard to say, would I want a different past if you like who you are now? Because you wouldn't be that person. The PTS deal came along again, but there's a place with military PTS, you can't deal with it. And sometimes they never deal with it. And it's just one of those things that you can't deal with. But in some ways, most of these people seem more determined to accomplish goals that didn't involve emotional ties, and they realize how their past has made them that way. They tend to, and it's not true of all, they tend to want to be overachievers, but more that doesn't involve having to deal with anybody. It was Valley is kind of a little different because she wanted to be a school teacher, and that's dealing with people all the time. But most of them, it was more of an isolated existence, I think. So that was kind of weird, but I kind of see it because I do the same thing.
So let's see. Barry Dead says sorry.
Go ahead, the last sentence here, and then I'll be done here. In a broad way of thinking, they fit certain categories of outcomes. And what I mean, they fit the stereotypical, you're depression, you're this, you're that. But I found it hard to pigeonhole them in there because they didn't fit the perfect mold. So it was hard to classify, especially since I had a kind of a personal attachment to them now. So it made it really hard to do that. Anyway, I'm sorry. Go ahead now.
No, you're fine. Barry Dead says, I'm really glad you guys are talking about this. No, I'm very happy to be talking about this. This was all Bad Frog. He came up with all this.
He gave me the permission to do it, said he'd air it, so we went with it.
Tristan said, I went through something similar. Dr. Oppenheim with my ex-wife. She thought if I was talking to a female, we were sleeping together. It got so bad that she would follow me to work. Yeah. I've had a couple of people run into circumstances like that. Cheetah says, I see a lot of spouses become abusive over their mate. Then it's really no longer a relationship. It's more of a you work for me mentality. A lot of that is overprotective. And I know that there's been circumstances where I've been overprotective. And I never found out to the day if I was right or not. However, some of it becomes like there has to be a reason why someone is becoming overprotective, and it's either that the one party is either not giving the attention to the other party that they need, or that something is weird, or maybe one party in the past had previously cheated, which causes the fear that it could easily happen again. And finding that source is really, really difficult. And it's sometimes it just can't be found, and maybe it's just not worth the struggle after that point. Because if you're running into the part where there's just the lack of trust, it becomes really tough to continue on with a daily life without struggling. And in the end, how many years do you have on Earth, right? You need to enjoy the days that you have, because if you're a hardworking U.S. citizen, doesn't even have to be U.S., but just an example, hardworking U.S. citizen, you're working 9 hours a day, you sleep 8 hours, that leaves you 7 hours. And I bet you about an hour of that is your commute. And then some days you have groceries and stuff you got to do. It knocks out all that time, man. You have 6 hours a day, maybe 6 hours a day on average to enjoy. And it's not enjoying if you're fear. If you're living in fear because one party might be cheating, or the other party is hunting you down because they think you're cheating, it's just not fun. Life isn't fun at that point anymore. And a lot of it is just enjoying your life because it's fun. So, there's a lot of struggle like that. And sometimes it's just finding the other member of your party to, that fits that comfort zone, that, you never have to worry about issues like that. Or if you do, that it's as simple as talking and figuring it out, and maybe finding another way that things like that could be trusted. Actually, it's funny. I have two really close people who actually have GPS trackers on each other's phone, and it sounds really bizarre, but the reason that they do it is because they both trust each other to the point where it's like, I know you wouldn't cheat on me because I can literally see where you are, you know? Why do like if there's no reason to worry, why does it matter if you know where I am? And I think that's incredible. I would literally do that with Cassie today. Is have an always, you know, you can see where I am on the GPS type of thing, because I'm not going anywhere, you know? I'm never gonna have that issue. It's very much you know, uh, I don't want any sort of issue like that, and I don't want the struggle. So I wouldn't even care, because I have nothing to. If it's one of those things like people slam on the brakes when they see a cop. Well, if you weren't doing anything bad, why are you slamming on the brakes? You know. And that's my thing, is like, I don't slam on the brakes in the relationship because I'm not doing anything bad anyway. So,
well, yeah, trust is a hard deal, and I wouldn't have a marriage of almost 30 years if we didn't have that, because
yeah,
my working life, I worked on the road all the time, and I was home every 2 weeks for the weekend, or she came out and saw me. Now she's in the military, she's gone a lot, and she'll disappear for a month at a time. If you didn't have that trust, you would go insane.
yeah,
But
yeah.
I want to cover this because it does fall in here. Barry, Your Dead says, my situation is a little different. It was my father that used to beat me and my mother. Not ashamed to talk about this anymore. I've seen all these situations firsthand and never want to live this again.
Oh yeah,
None of these people wanted to live this. I promise you.
yeah.
They did not want to live this. But what they took out of the positive end of that, and some of them are still struggling with how to deal with it.
Yeah,
And they don't have it. But once they got out of the end of it, they accepted it and decided
they can help.
that that's who they are. It made them who they are, and they're a good person, and there's no reason to be ashamed of how they got to the point they are.
Yeah.
So nobody wants to live through that. I promise you. I would do almost anything to erase my past, except that I don't know that I would be the person I am today. So
yeah,
it's a tough thing to realize that the evil things that happened as a kid made you into something that may be good, but it took that evil to get there. You can't even wrap your mind around it. It's just so convoluted.
yeah.
But I had to read that because it fits so well in what we were just talking about.
Yeah. Twisted said, I work 10 to 12 hours a day and I sleep like 3 to 4 just so I can do something else and hang out. Some of that is, you know, I hope that you can either retire or find yourself a job where you don't have to work 10 to 12 hours a day. But you know exactly what I'm talking about with that. You know, 10 to 12 hours a day, if you work 12 and you sleep 4, you're left with 8 hours and you only slept 4 hours, which isn't healthy. So, at some point you're gonna crash, you know. At some point you're gonna get that 10 hours sleep you didn't want. So so yeah, it's a lot of that is, you know, you got to live that life where you just don't have to struggle throughout your day, and then just to actually enjoy it.
Gal's got a good one here that it goes along with this, of course. Sometimes it takes the negative in order to make you that much stronger and positive. The sad thing about it is the human condition is that we can't have the good without the bad. You can't have love without hate. You can't have courage without fear, strength without weakness. You got to have both sides of the coin to have balance. And unfortunately, some people's side of the coin is just unfair, but that's the way it is. But it may, in the end, make you a stronger person. So there is that trade-off. It's a horrible trade-off.
Yeah.
But it's just I have this theory of life that everything balances in the end. The good and the bad balances at the end of your life, and for whatever reason you want to call it, it's not religion, but it's just like a karma thing. What you put on the world, you get back. The bad and good that's been done to you kind of equals out in the end. So it's just something that's the only way I could function, to be honest, to realize that maybe there's a purpose.
Yeah.
So
David says just use Snapchat location and then spam her with a post every hour. There's probably plenty of relationships that actually last because of that.
Yeah, it's going to go bad if something happened where it couldn't get that 1 hour picture out, though. What were they doing for that 1 hour? They couldn't send a picture.
The toilet snaps. All right, let's do topic 5, and then we'll do a part 2 tomorrow.
Okay. Do you find it easier or harder to talk with your streaming community about your past, and what makes it easier or harder? Some of it, and I know who this was, due to the age range of the viewers, they didn't feel comfortable doing that because especially with Fortnite crowds, you tend to have a lot younger audience. And this is not an appropriate place to be talking to 10-year-olds.
Very difficult to have personal experiences when you're talking to a much younger crowd.
Yep.
That's why you see Mixcast with when I say older crowd, I don't mean old. Obviously, older than the Fortnite crowd. Older than the Fortnite crowd.
But yeah, it's
true, Amber.
So, and this was my interpretation. I said, with some exceptions, I think most feel more comfortable sharing their past with people in their communities because they are basically faceless strangers on the internet. Not that they value them any less than anyone else, but the face-to-face issue seems to make it harder to share their past. For some, the pain is so deep that I'm afraid just answering my questions has brought back the pain. They found it was easier to have communications acceptance inside the streaming world than it was in the real world. And I think that's true in a lot of ways. There's stuff I've shared that I never intended to share, but it's with people that don't know me, but they do know me, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So it does make it easier in that way. And part of being a streamer is you have to let people into your life somewhat. Big lets us into more of his life than a lot of people do. Some hardly at all, but that's how I think the better streamers are the ones that not share all their life, but a big part of it that makes them human and relatable. So that was kind of what I took away from a lot of that. Is it made the streamer feel better to be able to either help somebody or just to share because it's a close-knit community. So
a lot of that question, if you're not do you find it easier or harder to talk to your streaming community about your past, and what makes it easier or harder? It's 100% dependent on who your community is. It really is. It's like, if you have a community like mine, it's so easy to talk to your community. And for me, I'm very open because I don't have anything to hide. My life is very open to you guys. You guys know 95% of what's going on in my life, you know. You guys know my job, you know. The only things I don't tell you are the things that are NDA, you know. You guys
and we don't like you for that.
You guys know where I travel. You guys know, like, everything. You guys know where I get lunch and stuff. And I haven't told you today, but I'm so excited to tell you today because it was delicious. And it just gets crazy, man. Yeah, and like, half of you guys have added me on Facebook. You have my Snapchat, which I don't use, but I comment on. I like commenting on Snapchat. You guys follow me on Twitter, which you guys would have saw that I posted the new painting that Halo gave me. Just a whole bunch of stuff, man. Just a whole bunch of stuff. It's there's nothing for me to hide, and it makes it so easy to talk to my community. And like, I mean, most of you, I'd probably say like 99% of you might not have known my history with my ex, but it's never had to come up. You know, if I ever had a moment that I needed to share that, I would have. You know, and it's just more, that situation is more to help people that might, someone might come up to me later tonight and just say, "Hey, Big, I'm actually going through the same thing that you went through. How can you help me?"
And we had a lot of that in chat, which I'm like the survey. I'm surprised we got as much openness in chat with people willing to actually have details in the open. And I think that goes with what I just call it a study went with. Once again, I'm not a psychiatrist, not in the mental health profession. I am not telling you how to do anything. If you have some real problems, get professional help. It helps. But it's, I don't know, it's hard to describe. I don't know. I don't have the words to express what I want to, I guess. So I'll have to think of it and see if it comes out later. But it's just, it's amazing to me that for people that were pushed aside, laughed at, made fun of, went through hell, to come in and face a camera and a bunch of total strangers, not knowing what's going to happen, dealing with trolls and asshats who want to make you cry or make you rage or do something else. It takes a lot of courage to do that. And I'm not saying I'm courageous, but the first show we did, I wanted to puke for 10 minutes. I was terrified.
Yeah.
I can't imagine trying to do that on a full-time basis to start with. I mean, I'm sure you get used to it. That's not the issue, but you find all these good qualities in these people that everybody pushed aside their whole life, and they come out as a streamer. And I'm kind of avoiding the community itself. I'm talking strictly about streamers. That they can be out front. They can be the person they are. They can be the person they want to be. You kind of see a little bit of that. You got people that are just happy and having fun online, and they got a bunch of problems in their life that as soon as they go offline, it's just a whole different person.
Yeah.
But they keep it upbeat and positive, and that's going to help you over the long run anyway. Do that, it's going to show you to be upbeat and positive. So
no, there's a lot of having to avoid the negativity no matter what social media platform you're on. It seems to differ per platform. Like Facebook, the negativity is mostly politics. Twitter, you see a lot of negativity through trolls, which is very similar to streaming platforms. And Instagram, you see a lot of shaming. Shaming is huge on Instagram, and it's very unfortunate because people go to Instagram to be able to share, and then it's tough. It's a very tough place to be, and a lot of it is just overcoming, just knowing that stuff is going to happen because people are just bad people, and that's just who it is, or that's just how it is. But yeah,
that's what kind of makes Twitter a little bit different. Is Twitter kind of has its own communities. Like all of us pretty much we follow gamers, and it's pretty much a closed circle. So we don't get a lot of really bad Twitter trolls because it's not a happy trolling ground to deal with gamers because they either don't care or they're just going to block you.
Yeah.
The political circles, a whole different ball game. I've told people before. I had 6 Twitter accounts at one time because I was dealing with politics, and 3 of them would be suspended at any one time because I was a cross between a troll and really aggressive. So, but that's what I kind of like about Twitter now is that I've gotten away from the politics. It's actually decent to deal with.
Yeah.
I just assumed Twitter was like I was dealing with the politics with all the trolls, and it's not.
No.
But that's why I don't have Facebook anymore, because I don't want to see politics jammed up my butt every day.
Facebook
and I can't
is
imagine.
Really bad for that.
It's horrible. So that's that. I feel in some ways what makes even Mixer different from Twitch is people say it, but it's more community based. I think because streaming was already a thing when Mixer started, and it started small, and it just kind of built a community of people that wanted to be here and wanted to interact. Where Twitch has gotten so big, it's kind of, it can't be that way. Mixer's going to end up at some point, but I'm just saying right now it's more of a community, which helps.
Enjoy it while it lasts. My stream will always be here, people. Sydney says, I think getting past a lot of issues is to know your worth, and that takes time and support. It really does. Knowing who you are is overcoming a lot of these problems, as well as enjoying the successes, right? A lot of who I am is built off of who I've built myself from the negativity, but you know, a lot of my positivity comes from knowing that I'm successful just by you know, obtaining a dream job, and my car is paid off. You know, how great of a feeling is that? Not a lot of people get to celebrate things like that, and I know that I'm successful in doing that. And I know there's other people out there, and they're like, "Oh, Big, stop rubbing in my face that you paid off your car." But a lot of it is like, you're capable of doing it too. You know, it's out there, and hopefully my lead can help you there. And if there's any way that I can help, I will. Obviously, you know that I would shell out the money if I could, but I can't. You know, enjoy the successes while you have them, because you never know what the next bad thing is that's going to help build you to where you are, but it's going to be hard to go through it.
Yep.
So it's, yeah, enjoy the little things. And that's, if you've ever watched, Scott Pilgrim, Scott Pilgrim, the Scott Pilgrim movie, there's that. I think that's one of his rules is enjoy the little things. And it's very, very true. I think that was also in Zombieland, which it's still very true. Enjoying the little things goes a long way. You never really realize how beneficial a small success can be. Yeah.
And just as an example for you, Dr. Oppenheim, if you've watched the chat while we've been talking, they're still paying attention, but there's a side conversation, 2 or 3 side conversations going on that I don't know how one of them started, but I wish I did, because it was really interesting the way it was going. But that's what goes on a lot here in this community, is there's just a lot of side conversations that you can have with people. And who cares what the streamer's doing? I mean, it's just the way it is. But I just had the perfect example of what goes on in the community a lot of times. And now I see why Big misses some of them, because you get concentrating on something, then you see something but that's part of some other conversation I missed. So, yeah. But yeah.
Valley Girl says today she hit a pole before her test, and that and said that must mean it's good luck. That's how positive you become. There's a lot of things that could be taken as, like, how was this pole hit? You know, were you driving? Did you slap it? Did you run into it? You know, I know there's a bunch of people that hit the pole, and that means a whole different meaning. but it's just there's a lot of meanings in which it can be interpreted as good luck, but no, but like enjoying the little things. It really is that. What's up, G Love?
And by the way, to those that were telling Valley Girl to, you'll find anything related to that. She already has, and she pushes him around. So he's just in trouble. But she's actually found a really good guy that treats her pretty well. So don't worry about her thing. But
wait, you drove into a pole today and said that was good luck. Valley Girl. Valley Girl, I'm sorry to say that I don't think that hitting a pole with your car was good luck. I'm sorry to say that I don't think so. Made you feel better? What's up, Russian Chaos?
Hey, G-Love.
How are you, G-Love? But yeah.
So basically, start running down poles now then.
Oh
is
my
what
God.
Dr. Oppenheim says.
Yeah.
No, do not run over poles.
Very GTA style, just run down all of them, or Forza. If you know Forza, you're running down lots of street lamps.
Yes, you are.
Doing all right,
We're
G-Love.
doing pretty good, G-Love. It's been an interesting night, to say the least.
It has been an interesting night. We had a good talk. A lot of tonight's discussion was streamer health and gamer health, and it was a good conversation. There's a lot of it. It was a lot of everyone got to talk a little bit about their past and probably got a little bit deeper than they expected to talk, but it's always good. It's always good. Both important topics. Oh yeah. There's
But
also we didn't talk about code of the day too. If you guys are interested in winning a year of Xbox Live, feel free to type _Mixcast. The code is right there. It's been there all night. I might just do it like that from now on. You come in that way. People don't feel like they're forced to wait for the moment of the code of the day. They can come in, hang out, grab the code, come back, hang out, enjoy the conversation. So. Type !Mixcast, get yourself a code. Today's code is load out for any audio listeners for uploaded versions of the podcast.
And that link I posted is the link to the paper, to my thing that I wrote summarizing all this stuff. It's just a Google Doc.
Yeah.
You're more than welcome to copy it, download it, whatever you can do. It's obviously view only because I don't want people messing with it, but that's the link to it if you want to read it or make a copy. It's freely open to everybody.
Which we will put the link to the mental health segment for. We'll put it in the Discord, so that way, if anyone wants to go through and read it themselves, I mean, it's very much written like a medical article. Like it's very well written. So, Bad Frog put a lot of time and effort into this. This is like a few weeks worth of him talking to people on Twitter and talking to them in streams and Discord and all this stuff. So yeah, you did a great job.
My psychologist read it today, and she said it was well written. She also said that there's no way I could have written it 6 months ago. So
I was like, but you didn't write it 6 months ago. Yeah,
no, there's no way I could have written it 6 months ago because where I was at in my state of being. So that means even though I don't think I'm going anywhere, I guess I am. I always feel like after I get done that I've not gained anything, but I guess I have.
It's one of those things where it's like people don't feel that they're actually losing weight, but the scale tells them that they are. You don't actually see yourself physically changing until you look at the before and after picture, and this is your after picture, that article,
Yeah. I've got another one coming, Dr. Oppenheim. I don't get done with it.
Yeah.
Coming.
We've always got, and actually, I enjoy these conversations as well as topics. Psychology interests me a lot. Dr. Oppenheim, for anyone who is interested in suggesting topics for the Mixcast, please put them in the Discord.
Yep.
You can join the Discord right here with the link in the chat. Or you can click the Discord button under the Mixcast section Actually, no, it's under my section. It's the orange Discord button. You're already in it? Place it in the Mixcast channel. Any suggestions that you can think of, we add every single one of them to our list, and we go through them as quickly as we can, but we only stick to 3 topics a day max, because some topics go really deep into time.
Yeah.
This is actually our longest Mixcast to date. But yeah, we enjoy going through and talking about as much as we can.
And since we're going to have to continue this tomorrow night.
Oh, yeah, that was the other thing I was going to say.
We're going to have some pack stuff. Please come back. We'll be finishing this and probably have some more discussions about it if you want.
Yes.
We have some other stuff we want to talk about too, because PAX is coming up, and Big really wants to talk about some things that are coming in PAX.
Yeah.
So please come in and join us again tomorrow night if you're interested in hearing the end of this. Before we shut off, I'll put the link in there, or even after we shut off, I'll put the link back to the doc again in the chat. And you're more than welcome to ask questions tomorrow night. Say anything you want to say. If you want to whisper and be anonymous, go right ahead. And we don't want anybody to feel judged over this stuff.
Yeah.
We aren't psychologists, as I've stated multiple times.
This is
but somehow getting it off your chest.
Yeah, I was just saying it's friends talking to friends, helping friends. That's all it is. We try to start at 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Sometimes we start between 8 and 8:15. It really just depends on the night. I'm so beyond mentally exhausted today and that's why we started at 8:15. I didn't leave work until 7:08, and it's an hour drive home for me. I got home at approximately an hour. The traffic was not bad tonight. I got home at 7:56. There was no parking at my house, and I had to feed the cats, and then I came upstairs to find that my whole stream room has been rearranged. So that's why we started late, which I felt really bad because this segment was really important. But yeah, tomorrow at 8 we're gonna talk about PAX, and after we talk about PAX, we're gonna talk about the last 4 topics on Bad Frog's mental health section. And what's the positive from that? I got a ton of stuff work done at work. So I got a ton of stuff done at work. I worked so hard today, which is good and bad. I definitely overworked myself today at work, but I'm proud of what came out of it. We didn't hit any polls too. I didn't need to hit a poll coming home to know I was gonna have a good night tonight. So there we go.
And just so you know, a little background. It's 7:57. I get a message. I literally just
got home, and
I had to admit that I got lost in Photoshop today, and I didn't realize we had a show until 7:40 and hadn't hardly done anything.
He sent me a message at like 7:42 or something that said like all of that time spent online for such a simple problem, and I was like, so he's not getting ready for the show right now? I was like,
nope, I had no idea. So
yeah,
not only was he home at 7:57, I had not done any prep work whatsoever. Yeah. Fortunately, I knew this was here, but it was yeah, we definitely had to wing it tonight.
We've winged it a couple of times on the episodes, and they've turned out fantastic. This wasn't winged because he spent weeks developing this. And the Bungie and Activision section, that was easy, man. That was the biggest news that this week could have had.
Yep.
And then McFly said the working hard part of that picture of the new hoodies from Tiny Build. I'm so pumped to have a Tiny Build hoodie. You have no idea. Actually, I'll show it again. We announced our new game today. Oh, I thought I accidentally tweeted something. I freaked out for a second. I was like, that tweet's not supposed to go out till tomorrow. Yeah, we announced a new game today. If you've ever played the game on Xbox called Human Fall Flat, it plays very similar to Human Fall Flat. It's single player or multiplayer, and the whole concept of the game is physics based, and your goal is to deliver packages. It's unbelievably hilarious, and we are extremely excited to share it with you guys. So, um, yeah, you guys are gonna
I
have.
can't wait to see this.
You guys are gonna have a lot of fun with this game.
And I might be able to play it, which would be nice.
It will be it will be lots of fun. And also, I started today's tweet this morning. I woke up. I was like, I'm gonna tweet from home real quick. So I logged on to Twitter on Tiny Build Twitter, and I was like, what do I tweet? So I tweeted hello, and then instantly 80 comments or 60 comments and 85 likes, and within 60 seconds, I was like, whoa. So most of them were neighbor, because hello neighbor is our main title. But yeah, we had a lot of good ones. Hello, it's me. Hello from the other side. Hello from the other side was actually from if you guys know Rob. Rob is one of the main guys from Cyanide and Happiness. He put from the other side, which I thought was hilarious. And then I was talking to him in Slack later today, which is really weird to be able to have a direct contact with Rob. So I was like, this is odd. I have a direct contact with like one of the most beloved comics on Facebook. So but yeah, it's yeah, we're excited for this game. We haven't announced the name of the game. I think we have a teaser of the announcement tomorrow.
You should have waited for this to name it Human Fall Flat.
We actually named it yesterday. We named the game yesterday.
I opened it in something silly like I deliver box.
Well, our in-house name for it was Untitled Truck Game, because we didn't know what to name it. We came up with a really, really good game, good name for the game. So I'm excited. I have a whole campaign that I like, a marketing campaign for announcing the game at PAX for this. So we're excited. Well, and this isn't the only game that we're showing.
If you hook a brother up, I can get it played in several places on Mixer. Just saying.
What, the game?
Yeah, when it comes out.
Oh, when it comes out? Oh, that's a whole thing. But we don't know a launch date or anything. We're showing it off at PAX. We literally decided 2 days ago if we were showing it off or not. So, yeah, we're excited. We have a lot to show at PAX. And if anyone is going to PAX, I'm doing all of the community relations with Tiny Builds Indie Games. So if you want to schedule a meeting to talk about our upcoming games and stuff, if you're like a content creator, or if you know a content creator that would like to be involved with Tiny Build Games, send them to me. I have bookings available for people. So, yeah. But yeah. What is this? The game, Case-Laner, or the whole stream? But yeah, I think that's all we got for you.
I think so. I think we accomplished quite a bit tonight.
It was definitely a good Mixcast.
I feel better having got started on that, because I definitely had my fears that that it was going to be mind-numbingly boring.
No.
That was what I was.
I knew people were going to jump into the topics.
So.
But yeah, I do have a stream after this today. It's literally going to be a Stream 101. So if you want to come hang out, listen to good music, chat, I'll be hanging out, doing some work, sending out some codes to people who I owe codes to. And if you want to learn how to stream, ask any questions about bots, streaming equipment, my opinions on certain brands or anything, let me know. Hang out. We're just going to shut down the stream for like 30 seconds, so that way the VOD will cut and I can start up the new stream. So,
and MD, I would appreciate it very much if you did that for me. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Yeah. thank you guys so much for joining us for Mixcast. Don't forget the code of the day is loadout. You can type !Mixcast in the chat if you want to do that while you're waiting for me to start up the next stream. And be here at 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time tomorrow, which is 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, to continue on with the second half of Bad Frog's streamer and gamer mental health article. So,
and I appreciate it. You don't know how much I appreciate you guys, especially with this, because this is really close to me. So I really appreciate it.
Yeah,
thank you very much.
Yeah.
So,
all right. I'll see you guys.
I think we're done.
I'll see you guys in like 30 seconds, and Bad Frog will see you guys tomorrow.
Yep.
All right. Bye, guys.
See ya.